Okay, now, when I was a young teenager back in the 1990s, yes, to all you young people, there was a life before the year 2000. There was the 1990s, and we were the kings amongst men. I used to listen to two types of music. Two types of music were very variable in my interests, and that was thrash metal, which I still love today. Obviously, bands like Metallica, Megadeth, and, sort of like the lesser stuff like AC/DC, a little bit of the older stuff. And of course there was the, more harder bands like Ministry, the Spanish rock band, who were just complete death metal. And also as well, I used to listen to a lot of hip-hop, or as we call now, old school hip-hop, which obviously then was new school. And the old school stuff was Sugar Hill Gang and Ricky D, which you guys will never have heard of, or probably never have heard of. And I used to love all that music, and I used to walk around with a bit of a swag, thinking I was cooler than school, and effectively if I'd have been around today doing the same thing, I'd have been known as a chav. That's what I would have been. But I used to walk around in these tracksuits, or shell suits as we used to call them, and I'd be bopping around with a bit of a bowl on me and doing the old limp and drag with the legs. The limp and drag. Just drag the leg behind you and have that bit of a swagger. And then all of a sudden I'd realise how uncool I was when I'd bump into my friends, because I used to have a lot of black friends. I still have now, but I used to have more then. I was a white man in a very large black community. And I'd go bowling over to them and I'd be like, yeah, word up, word to your mother, motherfuckers, how you doing, keep it real, fucking down with the homies and all that shit. And they'd turn around to me and they'd go, yeah, Al, what are you saying? And I'd be like, I'm not saying anything really, I see, what you're saying, as in like, what you saying, blood? Yeah, I don't know how to come back from this. I'm good, I'm not bad, how are you? Are you well? You're looking well, how's your mother? Really uncool, really not cool, but I used to think I was. And listening back to that music then, there was always something that used to spark a bit of interest and keep things ignited within the music community, and that was kind of beef. Like nowadays, let's say for the sake of argument, a lot of the hip-hop bands now go very mainstream, they go into the charts, and back then it was almost a no-no. It would be like, you couldn't go into the charts, it would have to be underground, keeping it real, we're from the streets, and we make music about the problems we've faced growing up, the death and the anguish we've faced, and poverty and things like that. And if you go into the charts, then you've completely fucking sold out, because you're not wrapping around a burning oil drum. Now, obviously it's a little bit more socially acceptable, but what they used to do back then was when they used to go into the charts, they used to be classed as a sellout, and you'd get some other band who would just suddenly, they'd decide they want to take a bit of beef on them, a bit of a verbal attack, and they'd suddenly make up a song about them. And normally the result that would come out of this was that one band would eventually take so much grief from it, they'd probably do a mountain of drugs, they would fly over to the other band's hood and take effectively a rolled up newspaper and tap it over the heads of the other band in the form of a MAC-10 shoved up their fucking ass. And somebody would end up getting killed, and then obviously somebody from the other faction would come back and kill somebody from that faction, and so on and so forth. But today I was like flicking through my subscriptions, and I noticed that there was a guy in there, and he's a bit of a smaller channel, and he made a video about, a couple of other YouTubers in the community, and it was a sort of just an unprecedented attack on them. It was more of a bit of poking of fun at them, hoping to maybe sort of like rattle their cage a little bit and get a bit of interaction going on, a bit of beef flying about. And you know what, I watched the video and I didn't click a like on it because the two people mentioned are actually air quotes YouTube friends of mine who I've got a lot of respect for, and they kind of hopefully respect me. And even though I watched the video, it was actually really funny the way the guy went about it, but all the same, it was a dig at them, and you know what happens when there's a dig at somebody else, a dig comes flying straight back at you. I kind of thought people had moved away from YouTube beef, but it still sort of does happen. And you know what, I myself have been involved in a little bit of YouTube beef, namely towards Woody's gamertag and things like that. People always kind of jump at me and say, don't get involved in this YouTube beef, stay away from it, you're fucking better than that, you don't need it, you don't need that kind of attention. And I kind of stand back and, even with the Woody's gamertag thing, I felt I had to speak about it because I felt it affected me personally, as it did a lot of other people who didn't take kindly to what he said. Obviously, for those who don't know, it was regarding the blowjobs to the ladies, or to the young ladies, should I say, teaching them how to suck a good dick. But anyway, that's a whole other fucking story. It's been covered, it's been done, and it's been put to bed. But, looking back at it, I can see the negative feedback this would have got, and obviously I had a lot of comments coming over to my channel from Woody's fans telling me that I was a no good scrub and I was a piece of shit and they were going to dislike all my videos and things like that. Now, it didn't really bother me too much, but you know what, I'm only human and words can effectively hurt my feelings. And it doesn't matter how thick-skinned I am. I work in the building industry, in the construction industry, should I say. And you know what? If you haven't got a thick skin, you cannot work in that area of work. Believe me, because the things that get said to you on a daily basis in the sort of light of banter, you know, if you were a sensitive person, you could take it quite harshly. But even probably more so for a smaller channel, creating that kind of conflict, especially against two bigger channels, the kind of hate that can come back towards you, even though you might think it might grow your channel a little bit, it's going to be negative. Now, regardless of the hurt feelings, the one thing that can come out of that is that you would get so much hate, so much spam, and people would say some terrible things to you that eventually you'd probably just think, I don't want to do YouTube. This is what people think about me. This is the kind of people that are floating around on the internet, because it does open your eyes up a little bit. It might cause you to take a step back and not bother making videos because you just couldn't really take the sensitive value of some of the things that were thrown your way. There's two expressions. There's one which we used to use when I was a kid, that your parents sort of tell you when people call you names, and it's like, look, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And then on the flip side of that, there's also the pen is mightier than the sword. And I kind of believe the latter. I think the written word is a lot more effective than actual physical violence, unless, like I say, somebody takes a Mac 10 and shoves it up your ass, which isn't going to happen on YouTube. But you know, the written word is quite powerful and it can lead to all manner of problems. So my advice in a nutshell is just don't get involved with YouTube beef. It's not worth it. Especially if you're a younger, smaller channel trying to grow and get yourself out there, it's not the way to go. Just a little bit of advice. So if you're the person who uploaded the video, hopefully you can take something from that. No hate towards you, it was a funny video all the same, but just a personal one from me to you. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Apocalypse done.